Hello all, this is my homework for lesson 15, understanding contours and using face detection in OpenCV. So I've done a pretty good job of documenting with notes and comments, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the code. If you'd like, you can find the code. I will leave a link for the code with the description of this video. It's in a Google Doc and you can access it. I've tested it, it will run. So basically the homework assignment is to find a face on the webcam and display a blue box around it. Display the frames per second for the framed face. Add detection for the eyes and display a red box around each eye. And display the new frame rate per second with all of the detected items. So basically this started out, if you've done Paul's OpenCV lesson 15 face detection lesson, it starts out with a lot of that. I've added global X, Y, WH just so we can use them within the for loops. A lot of these frames and stuff are from an earlier, a lot of the variables are from earlier homework lessons on creating frames per second and posting or placing the frames per second data on the frame. So that's what all of these are used in. We set up the camera to show the way we want the capture. We begin using HAR cascade models. For this one I used the frontal face default and the HAR cascade eye cascade qualifiers. Now, one thing that Paul noted in his lesson was that he thought he was having a problem getting the full path into the HAR cascade interface, but I'm going to show you now how that can actually be done. I am just going to delete everything within the single quotes, and I'm going to delete the R, and then I'm going to put the full path by copy and paste. And then if I place an R, lowercase r, at the head of that, it basically says everything after this is a raw string. And so it will just take it at whatever value you set. And I've given a couple of notes on that information here. Especially here is an explanation from python.org about the lowercase r preceding a string. So I begin a while loop to read a frame and then show it, and then I create the variables frames per second equals 10 and red frames per second is 10, and those are just defaults to load it. I create a gray frame from the basic frame using BGR to gray color conversion. I create two faces, or two variables that use the name faces, and set it to detect multi-scale, and I use the gray frame with Paul's default settings. I didn't fiddle with those much to adjust the sensitivity or anything. And so here's all the documentation on that, comments. We generate a for loop to start searching for faces, and we start a timer while we're doing that. I found that creating a box just using the default values for X and Y and width and height did not give me the values I wanted in terms of having a rectangle around the face. It was more of a square. So I just added 4 to the Y value, which is adding the width, and then I added 12 to the H or height value because I wanted a taller rectangle. Create a frame using these new values. Frame will use the rectangle will use blue, and it will use a line thickness of 2. Then I end the timer, and this timer is basically from Raspberry Pi camera. I have links here, so if you want you can go to the links and see what Paul has to say about creating a timer and normalizing the data. That was a pretty interesting video. So I display the frame in blue, and then I put text in blue showing the timer formatted. I defined a very upper left in my fonts, etc. Then I created a region of interest based on the face frame. You got to remember that we want the frame inside the face box, and so we have to define where it is. And notice the frame region of interest is defined using not X, Y, but Y values first, because arrays come in rows and columns. And so we need to tell it which X value, which is listed in the column, and so we get those values out and use them to select and set where my IX and IY and EX plus width and EY plus height are. Set a timer for that loop as well. Go ahead and this timer was set to end once the loop had completed, and I figured the loop was complete once I displayed the red squares around the eyes. So all this is normal stuff from Paul's template. I've noticed Paul is using destroy all open windows, so I like that. It's good housekeeping. Release the cam so other things can use it. And then because I like to clear the terminal when I'm doing these kinds of recordings, I just use the OS system CLS command to clear the terminal. So, and you note I imported the OS so I could do that. So I'm going to run the program now. Here we see it's got the frame in color, and it's searching for eyes. It doesn't like seeing my eyes. It doesn't like the teeth in my mouth, so I smile. And you can see the eyes, and you can see the frames per second displayed. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I do read the comments, and I will get back to you. Thanks, have a great day.